Limited.
It's 8 o'clock. Good morning to you. You're listening to Flow FM 92.7. Thank you for joining us Monday to Friday at 8 o'clock like this time. This time, we'll take a review of some of the headlines that were brought to you with Nicholas Onwanoye, where we analyze some of these trending national headlines and give Nigerians a chance to join the conversation and, of course, pass comment, take a position on some of these stories to be analyzed, on the program. 0807-777-9927, 0807-777-9927. Let's have no side talks, but rather bring the conversation to the headline news review and let's talk Nigeria. Let's talk how it's in our heart, how we're feeling, and of course, let's react to some of these stories this morning. I am Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
And Nicholas Onwanoye joins us live. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Welcome.
you so much.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
All right. Well, let's start off with this conversation. Wike is saying, well, let heaven fall. He would continue to demolish buildings that are on government roads, and people are saying that he's doing that without proper investigation as to which roads are actually government roads and which roads aren't, and is just going ahead to demolish buildings.
You see, ordinarily, if it were to be somebody else, I would have said that he's on point, really. But his disposition has never really, inspired confidence, because you have a lot of issues, court cases and the rest of them, and his manner of speech, it does not inspire confidence. Of course, when you look at the FCT over the years, there has been a lot of trampling on the master plan. And it's so massive. All El Rufai was able to do was just manage a little bit. Then, of course, some other ministers came in and continued from there. But you see, the way Wike has been going about it it's like the brazenness is just too alarming. Recently, Rita Lori. When I was in Abuja, I know Rita Lori very much. I know the woman I know she's been there for a very long time. The Ogbebos, they've been there for a very long time. So when you have things like that, you see, for over how many years that they've been there, nobody said anything about it. And all of a sudden, just wake up one morning and decide, it's going to raise a lot of uproar. You see, there is this thing in law. A lawyer friend once told me, you have a piece of land. A trespasser comes to it, starts his building, starts with the foundation, you said nothing. Took it to the lintel level, you said nothing. Then after he has completed it, you now come and said you are going to do. All the court is going to tell you to do is tell him to move his house out of that place. It's your land, but you can't demolish it because it's his property too. There is this thing that we need to, there must be a need for the EFCC or, authorities to understand that over the years, if you have neglected your role in regulating how things are done in Abuja, when a lot of trespasses happens, you have to put a human face to it, and that is the issue that I think the president, as a person and father of all, needs to talk to Wike about. You can't be. He's too brazen, about the way he does things. There must be human face to these things because,
Nicholas, if he was on the other side as well, so don't you think he's going to be criticized as well too?
Were there criticism about whether there is an issue of, inaccessibility of road in that particular property before he went there? There wasn't any lacuna. It wasn't as if there was an issue. You understand? You see, what I'm saying is that, especially at this time when things are so difficult for people, there must be human face to policies that you enact. That is what we are saying. You could as well be right that maybe for 30 years they've been there, they didn't properly, put their, papers in shape. He could be right. But what we are saying is that over the years, what has happened? You did nothing. All of a sudden, you just wake up and said you are going to start demolishing, especially at this time, when things are so difficult for people. That is just what we're saying. It's not as if, I haven't even seen the paper. And moreover, when you look at other instances, people are saying that he's doing the demolition against, contrary to what the court has said. They go to court and ask you to wait, let us resolve this matter. The court gives you an injunction, you still go ahead and demolish it. Those are the issues. You don't do things like that.
People who are affected by these demolitions now, are really concerned Nigerians. Now, is there any way, whatsoever, that government will be able to support these people?
In terms of compensation,
who have their businesses displaced or their homes or demolished in this situation.
You see, if government insists on going ahead, then of course there must be the compensation angle. They can't just lose. Do you know how many lives are going to be dislocated when you do things like that? If it's a proven case of negligence on the part of government, the people must be compensated. These people would not set up those huge structures without some document, whether valid or not, whether it went through the wrong process or not. That is not his fault. The fault is you created a system. There is a system. You said to go to this place, and they produce a paper showing that they went to that same place you asked them to go and get approval from. So whose fault is it if some fifth columnists have unscrupulous officers have decided to wiggle the thing out of out of the system and giving it to that person? So it's the fault of the government. I have an issue.
Hold on, Nicholas. I just want to ask you again for clarification's sake. Is it about this demolition? Is it about documentation or is it about the right of way? First up, if you recall, the first term of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos, and then when he started the demolition and the cost of reconstruction of some major routes in Lagos, I remember Jimmy Agbaje, the then contestants, his family house was somewhere demolished around Lagos. And then the simple thing Fashola told him was, your family house was, on the right of way, and then government needs to, construct road in that place. So on that grounds, is it not legally binding for such a person to demolish such a structure?
Absolutely.
And thirdly, so you just quickly answer all of this. And what is the role of the what do we call them again? We call them town planners at this time around. If they're still functioning, how effective are they in planning the town? Because we have state town planning services here all across the state. How are they issuing this land and ensuring that people construct their properties properly?
You see, you have just summarized the thing. The issue is always there is a lack of political will on the one hand, for subsequent governments in managing such situations. That will is not there. The right, like you rightly asked, that question is on point. The right of way, it's already there. You understand? So nobody has the right to trespass. The government can go ahead and do that. But what we are talking about is the moment there are documentation, what I would expect is if you demolish, I expect to see those documents, those who gave them the document, bring them back to come and answer for what they have done. How did this document get out of the government? So you see, when you do it, government is seen to be even-handed. It's seen not to be targeting vulnerable population. You understand? In the case of Fashola is a lawyer, and of course he went about it in, I was in Lagos when he started his when he started rebuilding Lagos, and you could see that there were huge, humongous encroachment, especially in that Oshodi axis. So when he started working, there was no grumble because they knew they were there. You see the rail lines, you see the roads, you see people encroaching into the highway. So those were the things that we saw when we were in Lagos. So when he really started work, there was very little of controversies. Because the instrument of law guided him all through. But in this case, it's not even clear cut. Those are the issues. You talk of an estate of several hundred housing units being demolished in one fell swoop. Are you saying? And we are not just talking of an estate. We are talking of an estate firm acquiring land, seeming legally with documentation and the rest of them. Then when notices come, they go to court and say, look, we have the document and things like that. The court says, hold, let us consider this. Then the FCT refuses and goes ahead to do demolition. That is the issue. It's the management of the crisis that is the issue here. That has always been our issue in Nigeria.
All right.
Oh well, okay. Well, let's move to a different conversation. Let's moving away from that. Well, bank workers blame CBN as cash shortage worsens. We talked about this, I think, a few days ago or 2 days ago, where this is saying that there's cash shortage in the country right now.
Well, you see, that is one part of the blame. But I think the bankers cannot be entirely exculpated if history is anything to go by. Don't forget that while we had this, what's it called? This change of currency, CBN back then was saying that this is how much we release to the bank. What happens is that, politicians go to those commercial banks and place an order, and when they refuse, they tell them they are going to revoke their licenses at the state branches. So they cannot be entirely exculpated, from that blame. Yes, they are absolutely correct. It's the CBN that prints the currency. And, there is this saying, we did point out that there is probably a cabal that are controlling the cash, probably from the CBN or even, in cahoots with the commercial banks, that is causing this scarcity. Then, of course, like I equally said too, CBN is cutting back on Naira printing. It's very expensive printing in Naira. So definitely there is going to be an attempt to measure, to manage the currency that is in flow. So, and that is what you are saying. So they are trying to encourage more of e-commerce, e-transactions. That is what they are trying to encourage. But of course, Nigeria is still largely a cash-carrying economy. Let us not delude ourselves. It's going to take a while before we embrace this,
e-transactions.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. So what I think the CBN should do right now is, because of the Yuletide, something has to be done. Because you see, what you are seeing, what I think is happening is that a lot of people are holding cash and they are making money out of it. You understand? They go to these POS people. In fact, just yesterday, I was just engaging one POS because I needed cash badly. They said that they had gone to, one of a warehouse, somebody that, an individual that sells them cash. I said, sells cash? He said, yeah. That he keeps, it's like he's running his own private bank in his house. He keeps a humongous amount of cash. And when you look at this cash, very dirty looking, smelly cash. So, yeah. Then you need to look at the kind of cash you have right now in circulation. These are cash that I strongly suspect should have been out of circulation. So that equally goes to show that CBN has to be up and doing in all those cash they must have taken out of circulation, intended to, which they are intending to incinerate. They should go back and look at those things, whether those things are finding their way back into circulation.
Yeah. I recall a point where the CBN was asking people to, bring their cash to the bank and all of this. And, have they exhausted, the cash reserve that they have, or what majorly is the cause of this, cash shortage? Because this is something that we see annually. It's not just because it is now that we have more point of sale, outlets all over the country. It is something that happens for the last 20 years that I remember. This is something that we'll experience every year in, year out. I think my worst experience was about 4 years ago. It was really, 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 really annoying.
Wow.
denied so many things. But again, how do we salvage this? Because a lot of families will go shopping at this period. What quick fix should the CBN do at the moment?
Well, I think the best quick fix is to go through the normal channel, that is having it in the banks and monitoring their ATM more. You see, if you notice very well, most ATMs don't operate anymore. I don't know whether you have taken a note of that.
Yeah, at some places, at some outlets that I expect to be working, yes.
No. I can't remember the last time I've been to an ATM to take cash. You understand? And each time I go, I manage to go once in a while. All you hear is that there is no cash. There is no cash. There is no cash. So now, more or less, I think the commercial banks have considered that role to the POS, probably because they sell cash to them and they make a kickback, they make gains from it. I don't know. But I think that there is a need for CBN to start thoroughly monitoring the cash they dole out, to the banks, and ensure that those, money is in the ATM proper so that people can go there, because that's still the cheapest way of getting cash. It's the easiest, it's the cheapest. You understand? In fact, with the POS thing, sometimes it hangs, and for days you're trying to get your money back from banks. So that is the first point of call. Those that the CBN can directly control, which is the commercial bank. Let them start doing that first. Then monitor those banks thoroughly. And of course, this issue of that thing that I pointed out again, they should go back to that, issue of looking at the texture of the naira that we are spending these days, especially the dirty ones. Because I kind of get worried because, infections could come from there, You can have an epidemic, because we are talking of printing, all these paints and things like that, you touch money and you put it in your mouth, and the next thing you come down with an infection, God forbid. So these are some of the things that I think, the CBN should do. That is the first step. Let them do that, take that first step, and let's see how it goes from there.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas.
All right. Well, before we move into another conversation, another story this morning, I'd like to remind you that we're streaming right now on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's on Facebook at FlowFMNG and on YouTube at FlowFM927. Okay. And you can also call into the studio to drop your 2 cents and, weigh in on the conversation this morning. 0807-777-9927. Now, moving into the conversation of state policing, right? All 36 states have now submitted their positions on the state police. Now, we had about was it 3 or 4 states that hadn't at the last time we talked about it, and now all 36 states have submitted their positions on the state police. Now the council has deferred the final discussions until January. It took all this time to be able to get here, and now the decision is being deferred up until next year.
There could be a lot of reasons why. You need to consult, stakeholders more. Sometimes, it appears to be very popular. The state governors have keyed into it. Critical stakeholders have keyed into it too. But again, you see, this is when they need to be very careful. That is on the one hand, I'm just assuming that is their thinking. But again, if I may, this is not the time to sit on one's hand, especially where the issue of security is concerned. I know they have their concerns. I recall that the IG, for instance, Egbetokun, the IG of police, Egbetokun, did say that they have their versions. They will prefer that there is no state police, that the current police force should be strengthened. And I totally, entirely disagree with him on that. Let us be very clear about that. Because his argument was pegged on the fact that the governors could, use the police, could do this and that and things like that. And I keep on asking, at this time when even the federal police, as it were, is under check from this social media thing, that he is the one pleading the other day that, look, if you have any issue against police, come to us directly, don't use the social media. So this is not the time, because you have to weigh the threat vis-a-vis the minuses. You understand? The threat situation is so high, especially given the fact that we have a lot of ungoverned spaces. You understand? And the manpower is simply not there. That is the simple truth. You see, we are talking of, when you travel across Kwara State, for instance, travel across Kwara State and see the ungoverned space, especially in the Kwara North. See huge expanses of land, forests there, and so many places. You see isolated house, homesteads and the rest of them. Anything could happen for this, nobody will know. You understand? I can tell you that, you see, the reason why there is so much of this insurgency, why they appear to be getting, an upper hand, is because most Nigerians are connected to their homestead, one village or the other. And those villages are left unmanned. So when they strike there, it touches somebody in the city. Either a grandfather, either an uncle, gets killed, gets kidnapped, gets abducted, his home gets sacked. So he then starts screaming. So, but when you have a state police, then you can then deploy them properly because you have more manpower. You have more resources to patrol all those ungoverned spaces. Then they can report to the federal police. If
Side of it, don't you think it's going to be a burden on the recurrent expenditure of states, governors, or is it that the their salaries are going to be shared between the federal and the state? Explain to Nigerians.
I believe that pari passu with the proposal is the funding structure. It must be embedded in it. So I haven't seen the entire documents from the states. I haven't seen it. So I don't have, But I believe that the funding structure should be part of it, should be very critical. Now, having said that, have you bothered to ask yourself how much each governor allocates to themselves as security votes?
All right, so before you continue, please hold on your thoughts. Sam, let's take this contribution. 0807 777 9927. Hello, good morning. All right, please call us. You can join the conversation at any point. 0807 777 9927. Nicholas, please go ahead.
You know, how much do the governors, allocate to themselves as security votes? Let's first start. There is nothing like security votes constitutional wise. You know, legally there is nothing like constitution. What the provisions you have is contingency funds. You know, and governors allocate humongous amount that could effectively take care of a state police. You understand? When you have a state police and you put that kind of funding, it can effectively take care of it. So, what are we talking about? So, the funding issue for me, it's a no-no. It's not an issue. Then, secondly, there are various avenues, you know, of raising funding for state police. There are taxes you could create that will take care of things like that. So, let us, you see, security is like it's an intangible, so very important. It's intangible, but it's a very, very important ingredient of growing a state. You know, growing your economy. The moment there is safety in your state, for sake of crying out loud, people will come and do business. Do you know what we are losing because the absence of nightlife in Nigeria? The nightlife is the biggest tourism, enhancer of a community. You know, most people sleep late these days. They want to hang out. They want to go to places. They can't do that if there is if there is insecurity. You are not safe when you go out. You know, I recall when in 2004, I traveled to Egypt. You know, I was in Ismailia, Egypt. You know, by afternoon, everywhere, it's like a ghost town in the afternoon. But by night, my God, Ismailia was bubbling. People were out until 12 midnight. So one of the Egyptians we spoke to in his smarter English told me that, no, this is when things happen. You know, I went to do shopping. I went to places. The Suez Canal, where this thing was still running. It was bubbling. You understand? So, I just couldn't, I was living in Lagos then. Even in Lagos, that we know it's a huge city and things like that, didn't have that kind of nightlife that I saw in Ismailia, Egypt. You understand? In most of these Arabian countries, you have it there. In fact, it was up to a point, I was trying to take the photograph of Hosni Mubarak's building, that somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, no, don't do that. It's a presidential law. I didn't know there was a security man following me. You understand? So what we are saying here is that we need to really look at the gains that will come from it.
Now, on the other side, will it not still get people out of jobs? Again, so if you look at it again, vigilantes, if you have state police, would they work pari passu with vigilantes at this time, or they can be drafted? Now, if they're going to be drafted, how much of training will these vigilantes get to level up to a state officer, a police officer?
Let me tell you something. Most of those smashing of kidnaps that you see police parading, who are the ones doing it? It's these vigilantes. Those are the people that the police rely on to comb the forest and tell them the location and things like that. So most of these guys already have the beginning of the training. So look, the state police is not going to be short of personnel, I can assure you. What of Hisbah in North? You understand? That's about the most effective vigilantes you have, more organized vigilante you have in the North.
All right.
You understand?
Let's really touch on another story.
Let's touch on another story before we run out of our time this morning. Well, legal luminary Ari Afe Babalola San has taken a step further in his anger towards Dele Farotimi and has, because of the alleged defamation of his character, has said that he wants to remove from the role of legal practitioner, Farotimi's name to be removed from the role of legal practitioners in Nigeria. What's your reaction to that?
You see, Afe Babalola, without even the court say so, has vindicated Farotimi by taking such action. Yeah. The man made a lot of accusation against you that you corrupted the judicial system and things like that, and you are going as far as saying you are going to remove him personally remove him from, what it simply tells you that he accused you of being a one-man mopole running the judicial system of the country, and you are doing everything to prove him right in the court of public opinion, and you don't even give a damn. You understand? So you see, let us, I think for those who are siding Afeval because of one political differences or the other, or sentiments against Farotimi, need to really think very hard, because if one man can do this, have a man arrested, picked up from his home in Lagos, over a law that is not clear, slam him in the court, deny him bail, going as far as saying he's going to strip him of his, his professional title as a lawyer,
ban his book.
Ban his book, do so many things, then you should be afraid. Now, you see, what it simply means is that you don't have to say the wrong thing next time. The moment I don't like your face, I don't even like hearing your voice, I can decide to do the same thing to if I have the power and I have the means. So this is where Nigerians... So it's not about liking a person. You understand? It's not about liking Farotimi. It's about the question of freedom and the right of individual. If we say we sign up to charters that ensures freedom of speech, that ensures freedom of association, that enshrine, all those things that makes us human, then we should grow a system. A system must be able to stand strongly. Don't forget that NBA has taken a position on it. People like Farana have spoken. Afenifere has spoken. But one man is decidedly set against it, and it appears that he might even have his way. So I think it's a point people should really worry about. And I am concerned. I'm a journalist. The oxygen of my job, my profession, is free speech. So if somebody moves against it, I should be worried, I should be uneasy. And I'm saying this to some of my colleagues who appear to be, siding the old man because of some, cultural sentiments or the rest of them. Yes, I respect him. He's an old man. He's a statesman. You understand? But you see, he will be doing a lot of damage to his legacy as a 95-year-old man if he doesn't put a stop to this. Let the court decide on their own. That is just my appeal to him.
When you mentioned oxygen of journalism is also based on facts, factual figures, no fictions in journalism as well. So some of these things again might be perceived as how verifiable are some of these allegations that you are making against me. That could be the case.
You see, but you see, let me tell you certain things that we need to understand. Yeah, you're quite right that journalism is about facts. It's about forensics. It's about what you can prove. Yes, you're absolutely right, but it doesn't end there. Journalism about certain agenda. When you are dead set on certain agenda, the issue of unbiased and the rest of it is removed. You have taken a position as to what is right. So what we are saying is that when you go to that extent to take a position on something that you feel is wrong, somebody can just decide to pick you up and deliver to me
All right.
as it were.
Thank you a lot, Nicholas Warunoye, for coming on the program this morning. And please, I will need to just categorically state that opinions shared on this program is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but that's solely expressed. Okay. We thank you a lot, Nicholas Warunoye, for your presence this the morning Friday. We're back on Monday.
It's Christmas time at Flower Garden, Ilorin. Your